I'm going to bring a guy to the stage who knows a whole lot more about this movie than I do because he made the damn thing. Please welcome to the stage the great Robert Rodriguez.
Hello! This is so cool to see this on the big screen again with a full crowd. How many of y'all have seen this movie before, so I don't spoil anything? Who hasn't seen the movie before? Okay, I won't spoil it. There's a couple twists in here, or one twist. I remember the first time we showed it to a preview audience, they were like, people were saying, okay, who liked the movie? And people kind of putting up their hands. And a couple people didn't answer. They were asking questions, and there's a big elephant in the room, and nobody would say it. And finally, two people go, "This movie's all wrong. They never mention vampires. The whole first part of this wrong." And that was the point. Quentin had written this for effects guys who worked, I think they worked on Reservoir Dogs, but he wrote it before Reservoir Dogs. He was given an assignment. Some effects guys had come to him, Robert Kurtzman, and it had this idea. They wanted to showcase their effects in a movie, so they designed this story of some brothers, bank robbers, who go to a bar in Mexico, and it turns out to be full of creatures. And Quentin was a new writer. He loved the brother character so much, it just kept becoming something else for like half the movie. We were supposed to get to the bar a lot sooner, maybe like by the first act. And it became half the movie before they actually got to the bar. And when he gave the script, they found they couldn't sell it because it was just too strange. People would read it and go, this is like two movies in one, and there's no mention of, this incident coming up until the second half. It's unmakeable. And then he made Pulp Fiction. Suddenly, everyone's opinion changed. Suddenly it was like, it's brilliant, it's genius, it's like two movies in one. And suddenly everybody wanted to make it. They wanted to make anything that he had touched that time. And Quentin and I were already working together on 4 Rooms. And I remember he came to me and said, they want to make anything of mine. Now's the time to do Dusk Till Dawn and you're Mexican, so you should make it because it takes place in Mexico. So I said, I want to do it because you keep stealing from this script. It's such a great script, and I'm afraid you're going to take the Chet Pussy speech and put it in one of your other movies because you already took the Ezekiel speech from it. There was an Ezekiel speech in this originally that Jacob said, the Harvey Keitel character, and he put it in Pulp Fiction. But it came from Dusk Till Dawn. So I already saw him starting to pilfer this thing that was never going to get made. So I needed to make it before everything was gone. And so I went and did it. And I told him, okay, I'd like to direct it. How about you? He goes, I'll rewrite it if you direct it. I say, you do a rewrite, and why don't you play Richie? Because he'd already done Desperado for me. He goes, oh, I'd love to play Richie. So he was on board as Richie. Originally, he wanted Robert Blake to play. No, originally for the casting it was going to be Mickey Rourke. We both agreed on Mickey Rourke, but Mickey Rourke wasn't acting at the time. He got into boxing and just said, oh, I don't want to do it. So we were so bummed. We were like, oh man, we're at a point in our careers we could hire Mickey Rourke, and there's no Mickey Rourke. He's not acting anymore. We were really bummed. So then he thought, how about we get Robert Blake? And so I went with Robert Blake. I thought, okay, that's one way to go. Then I saw George Clooney. I saw him on an ER, but you really couldn't see him on ER. And I thought it would be kind of a stretch. Here's a guy who saves people in the ER playing a guy who now sends people to the ER, and we see if he can make that switch. But I remember seeing him on ER. You really couldn't see him. He always had his face down, and I couldn't really tell. But then I saw him on a talk show with Bill Maher, and he didn't like Bill Maher. So he's just sitting there, just kind of brooding. And I'm watching him going, there's something about that guy. So I called him, and he came to my house, and he came on a Harley, and he's just like real cool. I was like, oh, this guy's like a man's man. I said, okay, I'm going to get you the role, because if I don't get you the role, I'm going to be stuck with Robert Blake in the role. So I got convinced Quentin to bring him on. That's how he got George, and that was the first movie that he did back then. He was on hiatus from ER. Nobody was hiring him for a movie because he was such a nice doctor on TV, and I told him, if I put you in this movie, it's going to be 180 degrees from that, and you'll get much more offers because people will see that you've got a wide range. Salma, her part was originally written for like Madonna. It was called a character called White Death. And I told Quentin, well, she should be Mexican because it takes place in Mexico, and I would love to add some more sort of folklore and mythical stuff from Aztec and Mayan times. So he rewrote it. Santanico Pandemonium was the name he remembered of a Spanish movie in his video store. They used to laugh at the cover because it showed all this like crazy nun stuff, and it was in Mexico, and it says Santanico Pandemonium. We thought that was the craziest video box title he'd ever seen, so he named her that character. And I saw some old like mythology and Aztec and Mayan times of snakes and this blood cult. So I thought, wow, it'd be really cool. I really want to present her to the world as an actress and as the character. What if she comes out dancing with snakes, and got Tito Lariva to do a song for us called After Dark. So that scene that you see with the snake, that was not in the script. It was just made for the movie and became, you know, a big moment. One of the other characters, I'll talk more about the movie when we come back, but because we'll have a question and answer, and I'll bring some of the actors up here who are here. And there's one actor that I had worked with, and he's from Austin, named John Hawkes. I worked with him on Road Racers. And I remember showing him to Quentin, and we couldn't find somebody to play that character. And I said, man, I really like to use John Hawkes. I think he'd really kick ass in it. And he had to give that speech where you see at the beginning where, I should get a fucking Academy Award for how good I'm acting. And then, you know, 15 years later, he got nominated for an Academy Award for A Winter's Bone. So a lot of great things came out for the casting. Tom Savini, Fred Williamson, different people we'll talk about when we come up. Any questions you have about the making of? I know all about it. I know the editor and the cinematographer and the cameraman really close. So I can tell you everything about this thing. So please enjoy the movie. I can't wait to see it with y'all. And from dusk till dawn. I still remember the moment Quentin and I realized we wanted you in the movie. You did an audition for us, and you said, "Come on, Sex Machine!" And we're like, "We gotta hire this guy. Come on, it's Fred the Hammer Williamson. We gotta have him in this movie." And it was the first sort of mix. It was when that was the first point where we realized, okay, we got Harvey Keitel, but we want to kind of mix. We want to kind of do this mashup of movie ideas. Let's do the casting as well. Let's have Fred Williamson, Harvey Keitel. And that's what opened up the door even for like...
No, you just needed a brother in the movie, that's all, man.
Well, it was written that way. But you brought a different thing.
But the audition was really strange, you know, because when we did the audition, you had me, you know, I did the scene. And knowing you and knowing Quentin, I did it over the top, right? And you guys were laughing. So I wasn't sure if I was doing
it. Was bad laugh or good laugh? It was a thrilled laugh.
I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing. I said, "Damn, they laughing at me, man. I'm giving my all here, and this guy is cracking up, and Quentin is cracking up." I says, "Damn, should I keep doing this?" You know.
You had us eating out of your hand because it was just so entertaining. You know, a lot of people come in and they don't bring the entertainment, and you're trying to make something that's going to entertain people, and that's why people love the movie for so many years. Is the performances really pull you in, and you love these characters. You don't want to see them go. And you really were enjoying it and having us enjoy it. And we'd laugh because we've read it so many times. And when you see somebody do it like that, it's like seeing it for the first time. And you're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. We gotta hire this guy. You left the room, we were talking about it. Let's get it.
I didn't know if it was good or bad though, dog. You guys laughed through the whole thing.
Powers Booth told me that. He was like in the theater for the premiere of Sin City, and he comes on and he's doing a scene with Bruce Willis, and it's a serious scene. He's supposed to be the bad guy. Quentin's going, and he's like in the middle of the premiere, you can tell it's Quentin's laugh, and Powers is like, was that a good laugh or was that a bad laugh? Like, no, it's a good laugh. Believe me, it's a good laugh. He was enjoying the fuck out of it. Tom sent me a videotape. We were in Pittsburgh at the time, right? Yeah. He sent me a videotape audition, and he was just like in the movie. I mean, he was just, "Hi, this is Tom Savini," and oh, hold on a second, and he hits his head, and his eyes turn yellow. He's like, "Oh, sorry," and he's got fangs, and he goes,
Did some editing,
and then it goes back again. There's some editing, and so right off the bat, we're like, "Oh, that's right, it's Tom Savini," and he gives this wonderful performance. Garlic, holy water. I don't remember. Just so casual. It's like again, as if we're hearing it for the first time. We're like looking at the script, going, he is reading the script, but it sounds completely different coming out of his mouth. And Quinn and I looked at each other and went, "Wouldn't it be really cool to hire Tom Savini just for his acting?" Because Tom appeared in a lot of his movies, Dawn of the Dead, Night Riders with George Romero. You were always. Why did he cast you in the movie? Because he knew you were a great actor, but you were there mainly for the makeup, and then he hired you as an actor? Or?
With George, yeah, I always tried to play a part in the movies I did effects on, just because I wanted to, But you guys, you wanted a video audition, and you sent the script a day before the audition was supposed to be in your hands. It was a week late, so I had no time to memorize stuff. So I wrote all the lines on cue cards and put them around the bedroom.
Oh, that's why you're looking around.
So it looked like I was talking to many people, but I was just reading cue cards.
Well, it fooled us, so we hired him. We thought, let's hire him just for his acting, not for his makeup. He didn't do any makeup effects. The thing I was surprised at, and I still tell people that's one of the funny trivia things about this movie, is you hate blood. You hate fake blood. That was your phobia.
I do. In fact, when I was staking the vampires, I said to Greg Nicotero, don't get that on me because I'm going to have to wear it for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Well, he's got me right in the face and across.
And
So
see in the
every
movie,
day they're putting blood on my
when
hair.
he gets sprayed, you just see his reactions. Fuck, because he's so pissed that now he's got blood.
Don't get me.
Because he said, "Oh no, I have nightmares of." You would tell me you have nightmares of it in your hair and in your armpits and.
Well, it's just that it's sticky.
That's what Tom Savini has nightmares about: waking up with fake blood.
I don't like to be sticky.
And you chose that profession, which is why blood is still made with Caro syrup.
Well, I make other people
I do not
sticky.
understand. Why is blood still made with Caro syrup? It's the most stickiest.
Well, it's the Dick Smith formula. That's the best.
How come no one's innovated something that's not so sticky yet?
I don't know. I
It
wish
still
they
gets
would.
everywhere and it makes everything sticky.
I know, and it doesn't come on. It doesn't come on the clothes, off your skin. I know.
Well, the only problem I had with Tom, I mean, we got along really
You got a problem with me?
Yeah.
You got a problem with me?
Yeah, I'm gonna explain the problem. The only problem I had with Tom, you remember when he bit me on the neck? He kissed me first. I've never been in, he'd never explained it to me why. Not now. Before he bit me, he kissed me on the neck, so we didn't talk about it after that. And the friendship didn't grow from that, but...
These guys must have questions.
But let me tell you,
Yeah, we got to start it out. of order.
the sign of a great director, of a good director, like Roberto, is that he allows you to be what he hired you for. He hired you to be a specific thing because that's what you showed him, as Tom did, as I did, and he gives you that freedom. He doesn't try to change you, doesn't give you directions of how to play a scene. The brilliance of him is first casting the people that he thinks is going to do the job for him and then allowing them the freedom to do it. That's the sign of a great director.
And he lets you improvise. He lets you, if you come up with stuff,
Didn't I say
he
that?
likes it.
That's not what I said?
Well, I said it more directly.
Oh.
Well, you guys, I think both you guys improvised a lot of that. The odd thing about this movie is there was a union strike at the time, so we couldn't shoot the movie even in order. So it really lends to why the movie even feels more disjointed, is because we actually had to start in the bar and we just kept shooting because we couldn't go outside until the strike was over. So we were in there 5 weeks, so we just kept going, what else can we come up with? And Tom was like flipping over the bar and doing stuff, more stuff with Fred.
And I went to you and I
with
said,
a match lighting the guys up, and then
yeah.
his cigar, because he had these great cigars. that he was
You
making.
go talk to him about what you want to do, and he says yes, or get lost, or kiss my butt. And he says, this is what I want to do. And I said, listen, I'm a martial arts guy, so we got this big, ugly guy walking by. So as he walks by, let me say to him, whatever you say to him, say to me first. And then he comes at me, and I said, let me take his heart out. And keep the heart beating. He go, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Just take the heart out of it. It's still beating. Can we make the heart beat? Yeah, we make the heart. So what would Tom do? Tom, why don't you just grab a pencil and stab it just to show that you're like the opposite. You're like, he'd be more cerebral. Right. He's brute strength, and you're going to be and that's kind of how those things came about. You were just kind of standing around going, what can we do? It was one of the most fun movies. I hate getting up early in the morning. I'm a real night guy. I hate getting up early in the morning. Some of these days we'd have to get up really early. I had to drive across town, go to this place. I remember one morning I'm just really pissed that I got to get up this early. I was in a bad mood. I get there. I go, okay, what are we doing? They said, well, today this is when we pull Tom's head off with a whip and it rolls across the floor. She puts an arrow in the eye and his eye opens up. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. That's what I got to wake up early for. I remember just thinking, wow, what a job. This is the best. Suddenly it perked up my day. It was every day was like that. There was just something fun and crazy to do. We're asking questions because I know y'all have questions.
I hate to call the audience for questions because you guys are on a roll.
Well, we kind of went out of order, but we'll have more stories based on stuff that y'all want to hear.
Right over here.
So many stories.
Some action figures behind the bar. Were they purposely placed there? What was their significance?
I'm not sure what the action figures were. I just started noticing stuff for the first time. I hadn't seen it on a big screen in so long that I was like, "Oh my God, I can totally see Seth and Richie in the back of the bar, in the back of the liquor store." I hadn't noticed they were in that first shot when he came in. I hadn't seen it on the big screen in so long that you don't notice it when you watch it at home. So I wasn't in here during that part, but our set decorator was really awesome. They would do layers and layers. They worked with me on Desperado too. There was probably they're probably Mexican wrestling characters, I would guess, because they had a lot of those, flown around for that set to make it feel like they're in Mexico.
Where were you when you were saying you were inside all the time? Where were you?
This movie was not shot in Texas. This is when I was in Los Angeles finishing Desperado, and I was working on another movie with Quentin called Four Rooms, and we had to do Dusk Till Dawn out there. It was just kind of easier to do it out there. And this is what gave me the idea to really come back and make my studios here. Is that when you're in Los Angeles, on a low budget movie, you can't afford to shoot at Warner Brothers stage or anything like that. You rent like a empty warehouse. We're at in downtown LA at the Lowry's Spice
We
Factory.
was in East LA, brother. We were East LA, brother.
Yeah,
We
it
was
kind
downtown.
of east south.
East LA, brother.
It was downtown to me. It was just big. I didn't know anything about LA.
It was
cool.
Cheech territory, home.
That's true. It was kind of just a quick jaunt over to the Los Lobos guys to do some music. But we went down there, and I thought, wow, I could do this in Austin. I could go find an empty warehouse in Austin, and build my sets there. And that's really, after this movie, I did everything in Texas after that. But I got the idea from this. So we're inside a warehouse, and it was an enclosed warehouse, so we didn't have to worry about any strikes or anything like that. So we could just
Remember what the warehouse was?
I down my 6th and 7th.
No, what it was.
It was a Lowry's Spice.
Lowry's, yeah.
Lowry's Spice.
Okay.
Empty warehouse
Okay.
that they'd used. But
Prime
it wasn't
rib.
that. I mean, the room was probably about this size that we built the bar, and we built it all the way up against the walls, and we've recreated it now because we're doing Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series. Recreated the bar here, and now it's back home where it belongs. It's in Austin. It's in Texas, and we're doing it again. It's really trippy to go now walk on that set and get flashbacks to all the stuff that we did. It's pretty trippy. In fact, while you're here, you should come see the bar. You'll totally trip out.
I'm not going to be in it. Why I want to see it?
Who says you won't be in?
How do you know
Kill
that?
me already,
Are you
dude.
kidding? Everybody comes back.
Am I going to come back?
Fucking Tom shows up in these.
Am I going to come back as that thing again, dude?
I don't think so.
Oh, thank you.
You're an overlord now.
We have another question from the audience anywhere? Right here? Yeah, question. Yeah, go back here. Yeah.
This is something, since the first time I saw it in theaters, whose head is making up all the musical instruments in the band? Because at one point we thought it was Robert Rodriguez's, but we don't know. Who's making up all the body parts in the band? Because all the musical instruments become body parts.
Wow, who's making that stuff? Well, that's true.
Bob Kurtzman. Bob Kurtzman.
I don't remember whose.
It was
body
Bob
parts they
Kurtzman.
were.
Yeah, Greg showed me.
Did he
Bob-
use Bob's bodies?
It was Bob's head.
Because the effects guys make molds of themselves just to have generic body parts for all kinds of things. So I would make these drawings. I used to be cartoons. I drew a guitar that was made out of a torso. I found the original drawings recently. A leg for the neck of the guitar and a torso, and the head would be on the bottom. I draw it, and I would give it to them and say, "Can you make me this?" And they would go pull together their pieces that they've had around. So it could have been anybody. But every once in a while, I see like a torso with its head off, and I always wonder, who posed for this and got their body molded? Do they know that we're just like kicking the body around now?
Well, it wasn't me.
Oh, yeah, that was in my head. Yeah, I didn't go to that process.
What's the story with Cheech Marin having 3 roles?
The story with Cheech having 3 roles is interesting. When you find an actor that you like, you put him in the show, and you never. That's kind of why I use the same actors again and again from movies to movies, because you just never get to really use all of their talent. And Cheech, what happened was we had a reading. Usually you'll read the script ahead of time with the actors, just the core actors, just to kind of like see if it's working. Harvey Keitel wanted to do like a quick little rehearsal. So it was Harvey, George Clooney, Juliet, Quentin, and Cheech, which happened to be there that day. So we assigned different roles to different people. There's only 5 people. So I might have played Tom Savini's role, and Cheech, we said, Cheech, okay, he was there to play the role of Chet. And we said, go ahead and read for the Border Patrol guy and go ahead and read for the Carlos guy at the end, which at the time I think we were thinking about Eric Estrada for the last guy who shows up. The guy they're always talking about, Carlos. And when we were reading the script, Cheech did a different voice for each guy. It would take on a different personality. And he was really funny in each role. And the next day I'm thinking, God, I wish I could just disguise him. At that time, Cheech had never shaved his mustache. That was the first time he'd ever shaved his mustache, was for the Border Patrol guy. So I knew he'd be unrecognizable. And I'm thinking, how am I going to go sell this to Quentin? Because he wanted to cast Eric Estrada and some other guys. Quentin walks into my office and he goes, man, I got to tell you, I really liked how Cheech played those roles. I think we can have him play all three. So I was like, I was thinking the same thing. Let's hire him for all three roles. And so that's how Cheech, because Quentin had just seen Desperado, and I brought Cheech back he hadn't really been acting in movies for a while, in Desperado, so he was already a fan, and his career was getting reignited. And that's really when we found out who the biggest star, of them were. We were over there in Barstow out one night with George Clooney, Quentin, Juliet, and Cheech, and we went from different restaurants. Women over 40 all knew George Clooney. Nobody recognized Juliet because she just looked like she had trailer trash clothes on from the set. She just like blended in with everything. But everyone knew Cheech. Cheech was the biggest star by far. At one point we were in a restaurant, Cheech had his shirt off and they're bringing him food, and there was an old lady, was the waitress, goes, I used to get high off your movies. Cheech was the biggest star. We're like, oh my God, Cheech is the biggest star worldwide. Everybody else has their demographic. Oh, Quentin, everybody who shopped at, like Urban Outfitter type places, they all knew Quentin. George Clooney had the over 40 crowd. Cheech had everybody. Everybody knew Cheech. That's when we knew his star was going to rise again.
Do you have another question from the audience?
Yeah, I was curious about what does Fred think about doing prosthetics, and did it take a while to convince you to get in the chair and do those?
Dude, it was.
Yeah, how long was that process?
It was 4 hours to put it on, and 3.5 to take it off because I helped him. But because it wasn't a mask, they built it on. It was a little bit at a time, man. So I sit there and thought about pleasant things as they did that. I thought about the check, and I thought about the excitement of seeing Roberto on the set, and it kept me calm in the chair while they plastered that stuff on my face. But after a few days, man, I started to look like Roberto. The black was gone and the red was appearing. But I suffered and went through it all, dude. It was not a pleasant thing, but it was worth the pain.
It shows his professionalism, dedication. I just now got a flash remembering. It's like, what's Fred's attitude going to be when he comes out of that makeup chair? They have him in there 4 hours. Is he going to come and just go like, what the fuck did you get me into? And he walks on, everybody's really quiet, and he turns and he's got this thing on. It's hard to move. And I'm like, okay, well, you kind of turn and you're going to reveal you, and then we're going to pull back from the window. We're going to add bats later, but I kind of have to have you turn and just show your face. And he turns and it's so dynamic. I remember Quentin goes, my God, he just got bit a second ago. Now he's the king of the vampires. He just turned around and it's so operatic and it's wonderful. And I was like, I know. He just he served it up. That's why God bless him. That's why we hired him.
Well, I saw myself doing it, man.
And he's never done that before.
I thought about it. What I was going to do when you had me do that, and I had to do that thing.
You almost have to do it all the way. And that's what was cool.
Exactly.
You committed.
I got all that shit on my face. What else am I going to do?
What am I going to do, man? I'm going to do take two. Yeah, so that was fantastic. When you get people like that, that's why you chose right. You got the right guys in there. No matter what, you don't know where you're going. You hire somebody and you don't know what the journey's going to bring. And then you get there, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. You're going to have to be in makeup for a long time.
And how about the pee-pee gun that he had? Did he warn you about he had the
pee-pee gun?
Did he warn you that he had the pee-pee gun?
The crotch rocket.
The crotch gun. That was actually something I put in Desperado. There was the scene in Desperado where the guns come out of his hands and he shoots in the bar. I also had a gadget where I figured he would have a gun everywhere. So we built this thing for Desperado, but it was the wrong size and girth and everything. It was just a little weird. So we were like, okay, that ain't gonna work in this movie. I'll save it for another movie. And then Dust Till Dawn comes up, I'm gonna try it again. So we rebuilt it, we made a better one, fit, perfect, Tom would get it. And he ended up
I didn't know I was going to wear it till they strapped it on me that day. And we just couldn't stop laughing.
The first take, the thing comes up and the testicle falls
Yeah.
off. It wasn't quite tightened on.
It took 4 guys to operate that thing. The flap comes down, the gun comes up, and they shot flash paper through it.
And then you brought that back again last year, though.
Yeah, and then when I was doing Machete Kills, I had it still. I found it and I was like, oh my God, Sofia Vergara's coming. Gotta give her the gun. She's gotta make a big impression when she comes on the screen. Look at my little list.
We had a question right in the middle here.
Salma Hayek.
Yes.
That's pretty astonishing. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, she was. It was one of those things where it was like the opposite of Fred. When she found out she had to do the snake thing, oh no, I can't do the snake. I have a phobia of snakes and phobia of snakes. Okay, come to my house. We'll bring some snakes over. You'll get over it really quick. You just never see them. They're actually fine. They bring all these boas over. She's at my house. Oh no, I can't touch it. I can't touch it. And I said, Quentin wanted Madonna for this role, so she'd be fucking the snake by now. You better. So she starts touching the snake and touch the snake. And then she was worried about, the dance. I don't know. I need to get a choreographer. So no choreographer. I don't want to do dance moves. I don't want you up there doing solid gold dancer stuff. I want it to be natural. It's just gonna be you and me, and we're gonna choreograph it ourselves. Which now that I think about it doesn't make you sound any better. Yeah, but so I'm gonna shoot you in slow motion and just bring some fast music to dance to, and you're just gonna move it. I'm gonna cut it together. It's gonna be completely cut together. And she goes and. He said, will it just be us? And I said, yeah, it's going to be private. There won't be anybody there. Of course, you get there. It's on the day. It took so long to light the set. It's like this. I mean, there's this many people there. And she has to come up. And one of the producers knew Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro was there on the set to watch. And she's got to come out. And it's my birthday. So all that's going on, and she has to do the dance with a snake. And there's a couple takes where you can see her just starting to follow. She fell in the takes, but I used it right up to the point where she was gonna fall because it was good stuff, and it was a heavy freaking snake, and she did it, and it just was magical. I mean, the snake. At one point, I'm zoomed in on it, and you see it in the movie, and it goes up, and I'm just following it up, and it went right into her hair, and I thought, okay, she's gonna freak out, and she doesn't freak out because she couldn't, because everybody was there, and De Niro was there.
But the snake had a good
she
time.
had to do it.
The snake
had a great time.
Snake had a good time.
Snake was not trained. It just had instinct.
There was a few takes you forgot that the snake went around her, and then it came out from behind, between her legs, and the tail came up and was doing this.
She didn't freak out, yeah.
No, but I mean, it didn't look like it was happening. You know what I'm saying? And you had to do that again because the snake was having such a good time, man. He was saying, like, look where I am. I was watching this thing. I was watching the snake.
And I was like, what are you doing over here? Because everybody was kind of doing their business, and he goes, I'm just stacking dominoes up. I said, really? That's kind of funny. Okay, how about I get a shot when she walks over? You'll be there like trying to protect your domino tower, and then it'll fall. And so we did it. Stuff like that. People would just kind of come up with stuff on the set, and I would go, "Oh, that's."
She knocked over my domino set. I was
knocked over
pissed.
my dominoes. I was just making my dominoes. That's right.
My job for 3 days was to watch her do that dance, and she kept saying, "Don't look at my ass." It's like, well, we're being paid to look at your ass. I'm sorry.
But that was became a very iconic and memorable scene, and it was just magical how it happened because she was afraid of snakes and didn't know how to dance, and it just sometimes magic just happens when you bring creative people together and you pick the right people. That's what's so exciting. That's what's so addictive about making a film, is you're there and things just transpire like that. Things just happen, and you try and capture it with your camera and you never quite can. That's what's so elusive about it. Is you go and you almost just set a stage, and stuff will just happen. And you feel it. I mean, you feel it, and you're like, try and film it, and you capture some of it, but it's not even like what it felt like when it was there. And so you try again the next day, in the next movie, and you keep trying. And I finally realized I'm never going to capture it, but the approximation of it is still pretty good. But it's different when you're there. It's really, and it's just magical. It's like electricity.
Well, everybody felt it. I was standing behind you one day on the set, and it was really noisy. People were building stuff, and it was between takes. And you turned to the AD and you said, "Can we?" And you never talk above like this level. You never yell. It's always very calm. And you said to him, "Can we get it a little quieter in here?" And the whole place went. without him saying anything. Everybody was so tuned into you and wanting to do for you that's all you had to say was you turned to him quietly and said, "Can we have a quiet?" The whole place went quiet.
It also helps that I was operating the Steadicam, and when you're a director that has a Steadicam on strapped
Exactly.
on, everybody like listens to me because they go, "My God, he's carrying the whole weight of everything." It's not really that heavy. It looks like it is. It actually balances on your hip, but it's a nice tool. You just have that big thing. And you go.
When did the
Everybody be
moment
quiet, please.
come to you when I had to spike these four ladies on the table leg, man? Did you think of that overnight?
It wasn't in the script.
No,
We thought of
I
that
know.
somehow. I don't know. I think I
know.
looked at one of the tables turned over, and I wanted to give you. I mean, I knew Fred brings his audience. They're going to be going, when's the hammer going to do something? When's the hammer going to do something? Like, the hammer's got to do something. Take these vampires and stake them on this table, and then we'll get this above shot, and you'll walk away, and they'll all be there.
It worked.
And then light up the guy and light up your cigar.
It was
The thing is,
good.
I was just finding those moments because I thought if I'm going to bring Fred the Hammer Williamson in, I'm not going to just have him
You
do
take
the lines that were in the script. There wasn't that many lines in the script. You almost have to make a part out of it.
My favorite part in the movie that I did was when Juliette Lewis heard all the noise and the bat sitting against the wall, and she starts shouting, "I can't take it anymore, I can't take it anymore." You cut to me leaning against the wall saying, "Sure you can." Sure you can. Lit my cigar.
That was a favorite reaction to that scene when I was first at the premiere, or the first test screening of it. People were watching, they're enjoying the movie. It's just going off on its own thing. And as soon as you start telling your tale, two guys in front of me turn to each other and go, "Nom-flashback." They're so excited. Perfect reaction. Oh my God, this movie just keeps going. One good thing after another. Non-flashback now.
Was that non-flashback in the script?
That was in the script. But it wasn't, again, the way he does it.
No.
And again, that's why you almost laugh when you hear it, because it's that magic transpires and you feel it. It's like, oh my God, it's like I'm hearing it like he's making it up on the spot. The way he performed it was flawless.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Right back here in the back.
For Tom, since the movie's so visual effects heavy, did you find yourself on a day-to-day basis kind of like want to jump in there and do your own thing, or were you happy kind of
what was that
stepping
like?
aside playing the actual?
No, because Greg was there. Greg Nicotero, he's my protege. Known him since he was 14. But because he sat there and did that scene, I said, okay, if you're going to be an actor, then I have to do an effect. So one day he allowed me to splash blood on something. That was that.
That shot where everybody runs out at the end and the explosion happens. That was a special effects guy. He was a little dangerous. He's one of those guys who go, "Yeah, I'm from the effects department." He's only got 3 fingers. He'd blown up a couple things for me before in another movie. That explosion was like way too big, but it was glorious. So we brought him in this, and okay, we paid the price. Remember the opening scene when George Clooney and Quentin come out of the building and it's blowing up. So you're not going to blow up the actors now, are you? No. I put my own children in there. And then later he's wiring it together, and then we find him. He's in there with them. We go, "Why are you in here?" He goes, "Well, if there's an accident, I don't want to be on the outside. I want to die in here, so I don't have hell to pay out there." Well, that's smart. Well, when the bar blows up at the end, the fireball was so big. That was the first thing we shot of the bar. We shot out of sequence. And the fireball came out, and it was huge behind the actors. And it went up, and it kept going up, and it just engulfed the whole set. The whole face of it burned off. It's styrofoam, so it just goes. And the crew that built it, they're all crying because they put so much work into it.
You're talking about the titty twister, right?
The titty twister, yeah. Cheech looks up at it and goes, "Well, I guess I'm not doing my scene tonight." It's the night when it turned 90 is when he was going to do his big speech. So it took him a whole week and a half to like reface it and fix it. But yeah, that was our glorious effect. So if you watch the shot, it's a really impressive explosion. It's a little too impressive. I cut it right at the point where you see it engulf the whole set. I thought, well, let's just use it. Let's just keep shooting. So that's why it's so charred when George is doing his last scene there in front of it when Cheech shows up. And it was 125 degrees in the shade there. It was in a dry lake bed in Barstow. And I remember it was just so hot you couldn't move. And we're shooting that scene with Cheech, and Cheech was like we're waiting for one of the actors to come, and Cheech is like, can barely move because you don't want to move because any exertion will just like make you. He goes, "Can I go back to my trailer for a little while since we're waiting?" I go, "Yeah, we have to. They're gonna be here any minute now. We have to kind of wait here." Okay, I'll go to my mental trailer. Okay, air conditioning. Yeah, ice cold drink. They're like, so I end up, that's why you pick the right people. They're like the best people to work with. There's no hassle. Everything's fun, no matter what the situation is. I'm always blessed that I always have the best actors who have the right attitude, and even if something's not perfect, they work with it and they know that that's part of the magic. It's like sometimes the accidents are the best things. The things that when they don't work right end up being the best. The building burns down, but it looks cool now that it's charred. Let's just keep shooting. Nothing ever goes right. That's the job. It's how you take stuff that's not quite right and you turn it into, something really good. So that's what's really fun. This movie's full of mistakes like that end up being the things that people like the most about it.
Let's take a couple more questions here. I think I saw a hand right down here.
I love that you included Cheech's little pussy rant in the soundtrack.
On the soundtrack, yeah.
Except I love that soundtrack so much, and I keep forgetting that my kid was in the back.
I thought about that. You can't play that soundtrack around kids. You forget, and then you can't get away with that anymore.
Have you ever seen the TV version?
No, what does he say in the TV version?
I remember. It's called the Kitty Twister.
The Kitty, that's right.
They changed it. And Cheech's. No, if you've seen this, the TV version is hilarious.
I did it with Cheech. That's right. The Kitty.
Yeah.
He goes, and it works really great.
It's just as foul when he says kitty, kitty, kitty.
Kitty, 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 come get your kitty. It's a kitty blowout. We're giving kitties away. It's really funny.
But they actually CGI'd the outside of the set and made it the Kitty Twister. Yeah.
You had to go to those lengths back then. I would have a lot of fun with the TV versions because I wanted people to really know they were watching the TV version and they had to really go see the real movie because it was just ridiculous. Desperado, I always had, instead of fuck, I had people, even if it didn't match, because they say, you got to find a word that, I don't want it to match. I want it to look like a kung fu movie, so people get so frustrated they go see the real one. Yeah, right. So everybody, instead of saying fuck, they say frijoles. So, what the frijoles is going on? That worked really good.
Wait a minute, so you prepare the censored version?
I had to prepare it myself. I didn't want it to be, so I would always get the extra lines, go in and dub it, and that would be really funny. It would be really fun. There's one in Desperado where the bad guy comes out and he says to his two guys, hey, fuckheads. So I had to change it. I go, say fat guys. He goes, hey, fat guys. And you cut to them, and they are fat. That's what's so funny. Hey, fat guys. Why don't you? And it cuts to these two guys. I had no idea that was going to be the dialogue put on later.
I had no idea that you would actually have to prepare the censored version of your own film.
They give you the option to do it yourself, and I was, I like doing everything myself, so I said, I'm just going to do that one myself. It could be a lot of fun. It could be it'll be entertaining on a different level for people who have to see it on regular TV. They'll get a whole other layer of entertainment because we'll make it fun.
We've got a lot of layers of entertainment in this Q&A. Let's take a couple more questions here.
Guy in the front,
I want to see if anybody has George, you asked a question already. You got another great one, though, I bet.
I just wanted to talk about the vampire design. You have a very different approach to vampires in this.
What was the idea behind the vampires in this? I mean, we had so many different designs. I remember I saw some more drawings recently. I drew a bunch. Greg Nictero drew a bunch, and we just had so many different creatures. Originally, it was written for an effects company, so they had some drawings already that they had in mind. Like the rat came out of nowhere. I don't know why it turned into a rat, but they had this rat design that they really wanted to feature originally. So that's why it was written that way. That's why these different creatures would show up. So
yeah, but everybody turns into a bat except I turned into the rat.
It's because the effects guys wanted to show that thing up, and it's so freaking
It's because
cool.
Howard bit me.
That rat.
It's because Howard bit me.
That rat is really, really cool. It's a full-size rat they made. We built the whole bar off the ground like this, so that the puppeteers could be under there. That's why the whole set was elevated, and they were all underneath. There's one post going up to the back of his feet, or two posts. And it's mechanically operated. I showed my kids. I was like, hey, you guys all grew up on CG, but watch this shit. This is the old school stuff. And they were like, oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. They thought it was just so cool. To see it, slime it down, and they see the puppeteers down there operating it. It was really cool to see that. I mean, that was like the last time we did practical stuff like that on that level.
All right, we've got time for one more question. It's going to be an amazing question.
We'll take two. Who's got the most amazing question? Or two quick ones.
Two amazing questions. Right over here.
Okay, I just got a quick one. The scene getting shot in the hand after El Mariachi, when you get shot in the hand, when I first saw that, I thought maybe that was going to be your trademark. Was that kind of an idea?
No, it was actually in the script. I didn't even think about it till now. But people always lose stuff in my movie. They lose their legs, they lose their eyes, they lose I'm surprised. I thought it was a premonition that I was going to lose some vital organ.
Other amazing question. Where was it?
This one was for Tom. And do you have any like advice for making homemade special effects that like work really well?
Homemade special effects. There's some great books out there. Dick Smith has the Monster Makeup Handbook, and it's nothing but kitchen supplies for doing wonderful stuff. Werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of an essay question, but that book, Monster Makeup Handbook by Dick Smith, is full of how to do stuff with household implements, you know. If you've seen Creepshow, Nate's corpse that comes out of the ground, he was Rice Krispies in latex, you know. He was mainly made of Rice Krispies because it looked like, you know, dried granular mud.
What made you think of that? Like, I know what this needs. It needs some Rice Krispies.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
You just like eating them that morning and just thought...
No, I just needed something, you know, granular and easy to get. What?
Yeah, where they make it noise. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm glad you're over here. It's very enjoyable to see you all. Thank you, Fred Williamson. Thank you, Tom Savini.